So to start off, can you say and spell your name for the record?
Luke Truitt, Luketruitt.
And what year are you?
I'm a junior.
And what are you currently involved in? What are you majoring in?
So I'm studying electrical and computer engineering, economics, and comp sci. I am involved in Duke Speech and Duke Applied Machine Learning Group, doing a little bit of oratory, which is sort of persuasive speaking, and then machine learning.
Okay, so going into Duke Speech, what is your involvement with Duke Speech?
So I started that when I was a freshman with at the time, sophomore. The two of us had both done speech in high school and really liked it, so we just kind of went about figuring that out. Got funding from the school. We're at about $15,000 in money right now. We just basically fly around the country and go to tournaments. I'm a speaker, taking a lower role in that now. Technically, I'm the president, but I'm trying to find the next president. Let's just put it like that.
So what was the process like freshman year, starting a whole new club, a new organization, a whole new team at Duke?
Yeah, it's funny because when you come here, they say like it's the easiest thing in the world to start new groups. If you don't see something you like, well, do it yourself. It wasn't very easy. You had to go through quite a few, hoops to get it set up. First thing you have to do is just register with UCAE to do it. They kind of vet you, make sure that what you're doing is something that brings value to the campus, which makes sense. The problem is it took about a month and a half to get an appointment with those guys. After that, we had to wait for SOC to let us have our hearing. That didn't happen until what would be December, which was 3 months after we tried to get this thing set up. After that happened, then we had to wait 12 weeks for them to approve, I guess, behind the scenes, whatever they have to do. And then after 12 weeks, we applied for funding because plane tickets are expensive to go to these tournaments or buses or whatever we do. And they essentially said, as a first-year group, you can only have $1,000 for all of next year, which would have been last year, my sophomore year. And so kind of we got screwed over a little bit in terms of the time frame. But now that we're all set up and good, last year we applied for funding for this year and got $15,000. So now I'm not complaining anymore, but not easy.
So what was the process like finding the starting members, the first few members of your team, just to kind of start, just to pick up from there?
So a lot of legwork. You just got to ask a bunch of people. It's kind of cool because high school speech is a really big deal for the people who are in it. If you were in it, you were really into it. If you weren't in it, you didn't know what it was. And so when you find the people who were in it, they really, really are into it, and a lot of them want to continue it. The issue that we run into, and even we still run into it now, is that it's still a relatively big commitment in that you have to write a speech, continue to prepare it and practice it, and then actually travel to LSU or Cornell or Berkeley to present your speech multiple times. The presenting is fun, but everything leading up to it is quite a bit of time. And so kind of all we've done is just word of mouth and then a few like info session type things. But other than that, it's just finding the people who liked it in high school and trying to get them involved still.
So you started the team here, which means you liked it in high school. What got you into speech tournaments?
So the primary motivation was a lot of the people that I respect, sort of my idols, were very good public speakers. And I wanted to, get a bit better at that. And I met a couple of kids at my high school who were doing speech, and I, came and watched a few of their practices, and I was like, man, if I could get good at that kind of stuff, that would be well worth my time. And so I tried it out my sophomore year of high school and ended up putting a good amount of effort into it and ended up being pretty good. And so stuck with it because of that. And now, I got so much out of it, not only in the public speaking, but also in kind of like, all the people I met, all the places I got to go. That's kind of my biggest motivation for doing it now, is not so much to compete, but more to give back. We held a tournament in October. 600 people came from around the country, high school kids, and it was great to just kind of be a part of the other end of it instead of competing.
Let me just zoom in, put another angle right here. Yeah, this is probably all right. So now that you are an upperclassman and you said you're trying to find a new president, what are the next steps for you as a senior? Or as a
Yeah, great question. And actually, the other group I started that's actually a lot bigger now is having the same issue, which is like either I'm graduating in December or in May of next year. Regardless of which one I end up doing, I'm going to graduate. And when that happens, either the organization leaves with me or I find somebody who can actually do what I did. And the hard part is finding somebody who's willing to kind of do the abstract things, because it's not so simple as, okay, I do A, B, C, and D, and then the organization runs itself. It's more like you have this general goal of like, hey, we're going to keep the organization going, and then kind of like figure out what needs to get done in order to make that happen. So the only thing that I'm concerned with from now until end of 2020 is, can I find somebody who is willing to put in the time to figure out what the group needs to do in order to continue moving forward. Some groups that's easier for, speech not so much. So it's all longevity, just talking to kids who are on the team now, talking to kids who are interested in joining the team in the future, and then faculty who can help kind of be a continuing factor when I leave.
And that is all. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Really short, sweet, and we were able to cover as much as we could. Thank you.